Originally a Category 3, Hurricane Katrina increased over the Gulf of Mexico to a Category 5. Hurricane Katrina formed as Tropical Depression 12 from a tropical wave and Tropical Depression 10. On August 24th, Tropical Depression 12 was named Katrina after it was upgraded to a tropical storm status. The storm hit Hallandale Beach in Aventura on the 25th and was named a hurricane only 2 hours before hitting the land. Katrina weakened over land but regained strength over the Gulf of Mexico and enhanced from a Category 3 to a Category 5 in just 9 hours. This was caused mostly because of the loop current and the very warm waters, which increased the speed of winds. An eye-wall replacement cycle slightly weakened the storm, but caused it to nearly double in size. The storm quickly regained strength and at the highest pressure of that season so far. On August 29th, Katrina hit landfall again near Brewis Triumph, Louisiana, at 125 miles an hour. The hurricane then moved to Louisiana-Mississippi border and sustained Category 3 winds. The storm kept strength throughout Mississippi, but lost strength further in the state near Breton Sound, Louisiana. Last distinguishable, Hurricane Katrina weakened near the Great Lakes, where it was absorbed by the frontal boundary. Katrina was downgraded to an extratropical storm once it hit Clarksville, Tennessee, and proceeded further north to eastern Canada. Friday, August 26, 10 a.m. in the morning, the National Hurricane Center realized the storm had yet to make a turn towards the Florida Panhandle and reissued the watch for the Mississippi coast. On August 27th, the National Hurricane Center expanded the watch to Louisiana and the New Orleans area. Later that afternoon, the watch was expanded to the Alabama, southeastern Louisiana, and Mississippi coast. The United States Coast Guard positioned resources in a ring around what the supposed impact zones were. They soon had to move due to the mandatory evacuation. Air crews from Aviation Training Center rescued people from Texas to Florida. 2 days before the hurricane made landfall, President Bush declared a state emergency region in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. Max Mayfield, president of the National Hurricane Center, warned that the levees might break, but few paid attention. After the realization of the size of Katrina, the watch was expanded to almost the entire region of Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. A hearing on September 26, 2005 was held. Former Chief of Federal Emergency Management Agency Michael Brown testified in court. A representative, Stephen Beyer, questioned as to why President Bush's declaration of mandatory evacuation had not included the coastal parishes of New Orleans, Jefferson, and Plaquemines. In fact, the declaration did not include any of the Louisiana's coastal parishes, whereas all of the Mississippi's were included. Brown testified that it was because Louisiana Governor Blanco had not included those specific locations in the original request for aid. After the hearing, Blanco released her letter showing that she did in fact ask for the aid of all coastal parishes, including New Orleans, Jefferson, and Plaquemines. On August 26, Mississippi activated National Guard in preparation for Katrina. The next day, the government began issuing evacuation orders to the citizens of Mississippi. On August 28 at 6 o'clock p.m., 11 counties and 11 cities had already been issued for evacuation. This later increased to 41 counties and 61 cities. There are 3 phases to the evacuation process. People in Phase 1 have to be evacuated within 50 hours, people within Phase 2 within 40 hours, and people in Phase 3 within 30 hours. Those who waited for buses or caregiving transportation often waited too long to evacuate and could not get out. Buses that were later flooded were available, but there were not enough drivers to get everyone out on time. By Sunday, August 28th, most infrastructure along the Gulf Coast had been shut down, including all Canadian National Railway and Amtrak rail traffic into the evacuation areas, as well as the Waterford Nuclear Generating Station. The National Hurricane Center maintained the coastal warnings until late on August 29th, by which time Hurricane Katrina was over central Mississippi. Many computer models shifted Katrina 150 miles westward of the Florida Panhandle, which put New Orleans right in the center of the storm. The probability of this happening was 17%, This later increased to a 29% probability on August 28th. This was a potential disaster since most of the New Orleans area is below sea level. Because of this, some worried that the flooding would go over the levees and flood the city. Ray Nagin, mayor of New Orleans, issued a mandatory evacuation after finding out Katrina had been enhanced to a Category 5 hurricane.